The awarded story, A Fragile Refuge for Forest Elephants, was created in 2021 when I was on assignment for National Geographic in Lopé National Park in the heart of Gabon. And for 2 months I had the privilege of walking among African forest elephants in the lush evergreen forest that they call home. To protect its biodiversity, Gabon depends on 13 national parks, and while poaching is still an issue in the surrounding countries, this national park system turned Gabon into the last stable stronghold for African forest elephants, with about 70% of the global population living in the country. Now, these forests are part of the Greater Congo Basin rainforest that stretches all across Central Africa, an area with significant importance for the global climate. And together with the Amazon and the oceans, of course, these are the lungs of our planet. It's a wild place. I saw my first chimpanzee in those forests, and it was an incredible experience. And days after, we found fresh gorilla tracks close to the camp. This place is so full of life. And it's actually these primates that have drawn researchers from all over the place to Gabon. And I had the privilege to join these researchers deep inside the forest as they studied the fruiting trees, something that they have done for well over 30 years. Fruit is a keystone resource for so many animals living in these forests. And after analyzing 30 years of data, the scientists found that due to climate change, there has been a staggering 80% decrease in fruit production by the forest. Now, this has major consequences, of course, as the animals depend as much on the fruit as the fruiting trees depend on the animals. The Deuterium microcarpum tree, for instance, can only germinate once the fruit has passed through an animal's digestive tract. And forest elephants play a crucial role in this process. Might be no surprise that a seedling grows much better in a fresh pile of elephant dung. Much better than in forest soil, which is very nutrient poor in rainforests. But the true question was, how does a decline in fruit production affect the forest megafauna? I had access to some archival photos taken in Lopé in the early 90s, and when you look at the size of the elephants, they were massive, unlike anything I witnessed during my stay there. And on this gloomy morning, well before sunrise, I found a female elephant grazing on the open savanna. And like many elephants in the park, she was clearly in a bad physical condition. While this was actually the time that the elephants should rebuild their strength and feast on the abundance of fruit. And with the use of camera traps, these small trail cams, the scientists were able to prove that there was a link between decline in fruit production and a decline in physical condition. In other words, elephants are no longer finding enough food in their forest, and therefore they wander off in the surrounding villages and ruin gardens and plantations. Towards the end of my assignment, I received the news that an elephant has left the forest and had been hit by a train transporting manganese from Moanda to Libreville, Gabon's capital city. And I was able to join the anti-poaching team on their mission to secure the ivory. Now, I had expected to find the elephant's lifeless body alongside the railway track, but to my shock, the elephant was still alive. The collision had shattered its right hip, and sadly the elephant could not be saved. And the park director had made the decision to shoot it and to put it out of its misery and distribute the meat along the local community. But then the guard assigned to shoot the animal ended up missing, and only caused a non-fatal wound. And unfortunately there was only one bullet available, which led to impatient bystanders taking matters into their own hands. And in the midst of all this chaos, the elephant tried to fight back, fighting for its life, as it was spraying water over the bystanders, and one of them tried to cut off the trunk with a machete. Now, I don't want to delve into further details, but what I witnessed that day was one of the toughest situations I've ever faced. I had to remind myself over and over again, even out loud, that I didn't come to this place to judge, even though it would have been very easy to do so. When looking back at this gruesome day alongside the railway track, I'm haunted not only by the tragedy that occurred that day, but by the larger story of human greed that underlies it. There's a railway that runs through a national park, mainly for the purpose of transporting a valuable mineral. Incidents like this are common as the railway crosses many wildlife tracks, and the company has done nothing to solve this problem, even though the park director did a full assessment on where animals cross the track. The company also refuses to reduce train speed as they transport Gabon's second most largest export product, accounting for 11% of the exports. So it's truly a sad story, but I can't just sit here and do nothing. And while I can't solve the bigger climate change issue myself, I try to hold on to the power that lies within photography. As photographs, they have this amazing ability to spark a conversation and to hold institutions, governments, and the general public accountable for their actions. And therefore I'm currently working with the Prince Albert of Monaco Foundation to develop a strategy to invite the corporate world and to take responsibility, to collaborate with the conservation world, to protect our planet and change the situation in Gabon as elephants continue to die alongside the track. When you think of it, environmental photography is often associated with the aftermath of environmental disasters. And while it's true, of course, that the story for which I received this award is a sad one, I always try to change these negative thoughts and turn them into something positive, perhaps also for my own mental well-being. But in my view, environmental photography serves as a way to construct pathways into a brighter future, and I truly believe we're only just getting started.